It's not been here for 100 years. It was established in 1945, and we've had Army boats here ever since. The body of water that you see off to your right is Skiff's Creek. It connects down here to the James River. If you were to go right up the James River, you're headed towards Richmond, Virginia. You go to the left, you're headed to sea. You're 48 nautical miles from the seaboard. Third Port got its name after World War II. It was named in honor of the three ports of debarkation of World War II, England, Africa, and France. The large grade boats down here that you're going to be looking at today belong to the 7th Transportation Brigade. They deploy to worldwide locations from this port. First boats coming up on the right are 60-foot small tugs. They're 1,200 horsepower twin screw vessel used for just general harbor work, basically a tow truck on the water. If you're from this local area, you've probably heard about the power line crossing the river and from the power plant. Well, straight across from us is Surrey Nuclear Power Plant. And if you look down to the right down here in the river, when we get up a little bit further, you'll see the red crane sticking up. That's actually where they're putting in the piles out there for the new power line to cross. Crosses the James River, comes across this piece of land, crosses Skiff's Creek, and then ends up coming out by the Pepsi plant up there on Route 60. This next class of vessel you may be familiar with from the old World War II movies, landing craft. It would run into the beach. It's a 75-foot landing craft used to put troops ashore or cargo and equipment. Next vessel coming up is the Logistics Support Vessel, LSV, 275-foot ocean-going vessel, 32-man crew on board. Goes from here to worldwide locations. It's a flat-bottom boat, so it rides really rough at sea. When they depart here to go to the Middle East, it's a month-long trip with fuel stops along the route. So, the Army's best kept secrets, this watercraft. I see you're wearing a Vietnam hat, so you're probably very familiar that Army had boats over there. But as far back as George Washington crossing the Delaware, he crossed on an Army boat. So, on this site here at Third Port, there's been a military presence as far back as the Revolutionary War, when the Continental Army posted a sentry here to watch for British coming up the river. So, in the 90s, we had a visit from a British warship, but they were invited that time. Next vessel coming up on the right is the Army's large tug, 128-foot ocean-going vessel. It has twin locomotive engines on it. It's a 5,200 horsepower vessel. It's also got an engine in the bow, an 800 horsepower bow thruster. Very maneuverable vessel, not made for speed. It's basically an ocean tow truck. These larger craft go out to sea, break down. This ocean-going tug would go out to pull it back in. So, just down that way in the rivers, the James River Reserve Fleet. Those are vessels that are mothballed and kind of pulled out in time of war. They'd be used to help deploy equipment. The vessels on your right is the Army's mid-size watercraft, landing craft utility, 175-foot vessel. Runs up and down the East Coast. Will go from here to Central South America up the West Coast. But if it's to go across and go to the Middle East or Europe, we have a large flow ship come in the bay. That ship sinks down. These landing craft are floated on top. The big ship refloats and then it delivers that way. Those are more of a coastal type boat. So up in the other end of port, it looks like a large ship is anchored or moored up there. It's got the big crane sticking up. It's one of the two historical sites on Fort Eustis. The first one being a Matthew Jones house. The other one being that land ship. It's actually a building. It's not a ship. It's a trainer. It was built in 1952. It was steam powered. It's got one of the most modern cranes in the world on it now. It was upgraded with that crane about a year ago, Haglin crane. About 500 soldiers a year train on that, and Marine crane operations. Overflow from the Navy's crane school also utilizes that crane. The Army's also got 4 dive detachments located on Fort Eustis. Those dive detachments do underwater hull maintenance on these vessels. They also do repairs around port. The landing craft, there's sometimes that they can't get into shore because it's too shallow. The Army's also got a system of barges they can hook together and basically bridge the gap, and that's called the causeway system. And right now that's all put away in storage, so I don't really have any of that I can show you today. Go ahead. The ocean-going vessels are like their own city. When they go to sea, they're sucking up seawater and making drinking water out of it. They're processing their own sewage. They're processing the oily water waste that's made just by running the plants. So when those vessels come back in from offshore, all those plants are shut down so that the crew can do maintenance on those systems. They're plugged into the pier where we provide electricity, water, and then pump sewage off. This plant that's coming up here on the left, their oily water waste goes into that, the water separated out of it, the oil goes into holding tanks, and eventually that oil is taken to a power plant, and then it's burned to produce electricity. So the Army's come a long ways, in the past decades, trying to be more environmentally friendly. This is the plant I'm talking about with the storage tanks and the separators. That one tank's 30,000 gallons. It's a bunch of waste oil.
That's your office there?
Yeah, the Harbor Master Tower is. Yes, sir. Anybody have any questions?